Historically, I went to high school here. St. Anthony has always been very cliquey, even in the late 70s and early 80s. I'm not necessarily sure why.
Cliques. In many ways, the elephant in the room known as high school. And yet, why do they exist? If you're a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, do cliques exist for good reason? Or so many questions. And yet we've always been surrounded by potential answers, though we still have but to ask. Until now anyways. Until now. So before we start, just a very quick note. This is definitely going to be the most ambitious project that I've ever done in high school or whatever you want to call it. I've just had so many questions about, there are just so many questions about cliques because I feel like it is very true that it is the elephant in the room in high school. It's there, but nobody really talks about it too much. And from cliques, you get all sorts of other, elementary and middle school stuff that somehow still end up making its way to high school, cliques, drama, popularity, that sort of thing. And I feel like it just doesn't get talked about nearly enough. So yeah, this is definitely gonna be my most sentimental project also, so might have a little bit of humor sneaked in here and there, but it won't be everywhere like usual. I'm really excited to eventually get this done. It is currently 3:45 a.m. So that would be 4 hours before you see this video. So yeah, I'm really excited to see this done, I'll say that much. One thing I'm proud of, not a drop of caffeine is in my system right now. This is water. You don't need it, man. So I really, really hope you guys enjoy this. Without any further ado, let's do this. Naturally, a great place to start a somewhat introspective journey such as this is, of course, to the man himself, who needs no introduction. All right, so my first question for you would be, why do you feel like we're drawn to like-minded people?
Oh, well, to refer back to AP psychology, there's two different ways to look at it. Birds of a feather flock together, or opposites attract. Both have empirical merit. A magnet is attracted to the opposite pole, whereas we like birds like to hang out with similar birds. So if you're hanging out with like-minded people, like our runners, hang out with other runners, you don't see them necessarily hanging out with American football players or with other sports of that ilk.
While I had already seen the birds of a feather effect in action quite often, I was intrigued by the thought of opposites attract, something I've really only heard of once before, through the curiously strong relationship between the distinctively Democratic Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the very conservative Justice Antonin Scalia.
Why don't you call us the odd couple? What's not to like? Except her views of the law, of course.
Somehow, their completely opposing political views seem to have done the opposite of what one would expect, and brought them together rather than push them apart. I'd be very curious to figure out how they made that work, but they did, obviously. Though it was immediately apparent that not everyone agreed on the extent of which cliques have an influence on life at SAVs, and different past experiences can provide different perspectives.
With perspective of being in another school district and then this one, I would say that St. Anthony is a lot less cliquey. Like, people seem to socialize with just about everybody, and not just, stay with one little niche or one little clique, and that's really cool. Just I think I know who the friend groups are, and then I see these same people interacting fully with other people that are very different in that. Outside of that clique. Sometimes it gives, that safety feeling, like you obviously are gonna be friends with people that you are and that have the same interests as you. And so if you're in a clique or in a group of friends that has the same interest, you're going to feel more fulfilled because you are, kind of seeing yourself reflected in them.
I think there's a lot of benefits to that. One of the problems with hanging out with people that are kind of like you is you don't get any divergent viewpoints. So you hear the same things over and over again. And at St. Anthony, which is very high on drama, when you hear these conversations, it's the same thing repeated over and over again. That's because the people they just hang out with the same people, okay? And they all kind of think and dress the same and do the same things.
Okay, so you feel like group polarization and maybe even a bit of confirmation bias, especially when you start talking about more serious topics with your friend group. Do you feel like that could be problematic?
I think so. I know that some people that come in through open enrollment kind of have a hard time breaking into certain social groups at St. Anthony, and that's due to this, I'm going to call it an ancestry of cliquiness.
So I lived here for a while, but I didn't participate in the elementary and middle schools. I actually first sort of got introduced with the high school tennis team because that was like during the summer before school started. So I was lucky enough to have a lunch table to sit at because there were tennis people and I recognized them and I was like friends with them. So I could sit at a table and be like, fine. If I didn't have that, I think I would have a lot worse experience because the lunchroom is like pretty cliquey. Not that many places to sit where you're like allowed. I was like closest with an exchange student, my friend Alethea, my first year. So that was good, but it also meant that when she left, I was like sad because one of my high school buddies up and left. But I did get to hang out a lot with new people. That was exciting because my old school was really small, not that many people, and we were like a family. And when I left them, I needed to like replace like a group to be with.
What I would recommend is try to branch out, do some different activities. Try to hang out with people from outside what John Winthrop referred to as a city upon a hill.
It seemed apparent that everyone had some experience living under cliques, but they can still be a very difficult establishment to break out of. So I was curious to see if others at St. Anthony had a desire to meet new people as well, or if cliques were enough for them.
I love talking to people. I'm extremely introverted with some extrovert tendencies.
All right, so that's perfect. We got like both ends of the spectrum here.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like there's something that holds you back from talking to people that you don't already like know very well?
Absolutely.
What do you feel like that outside force is?
I'm very theoretical and I like psychology, especially human psychology behind human behavior. I think personally that is not only a factor of it, but it is also common mistrust between people. You don't actually believe anything anybody's saying to you because how are you supposed to believe if you don't know them? And then when someone just comes up to you in a hallway or stuff like that, you feel like, what are you trying to get from me? There's very few times where someone has come up to me in a hallway and hasn't just wanted something from me, you know? Yeah. People don't typically interact with each other outside of their specific groups, which you definitely make early on.
Yeah, I think there's a fear of being judged.
Oh, absolutely.
Not fitting in, yeah. Everyone's talking about everyone. You never know what's
Nothing is ever really private. You say something to one person and there's someone across the room who all of a sudden knows that information about you. And why do they need that information? No one needs that information about you.
Do you guys feel like you have a desire to talk to people outside your inner circle, or do you feel like that's enough for you?
My inner circle personally is not very big here. The people who I would consider to be inner circle, I still don't completely trust with even the most basic of information. I tend to talk a lot and I do overshare, and that is a tendency of attempting to trust and attempting to reach out, and that is not exactly reciprocated, especially in this particular climate here. I find people to be very distasteful and judgmental, and a little bit to be plain evil. that's my personal experience since coming here in January. So obviously everybody's different, but I found that if you did not know most of these people in like freshman year, middle school, you're never gonna know them.
Yeah, this school's climate is definitely cliquish. I mean, I came
extremely hostile
in freshman year, which I was here for high school, but like yeah, it's definitely hard to like get in with a group. But if you find if they're willing to talk, you know, then I would be willing to like get out of like my group.
Absolutely.
But then it's always like, do they want to talk to me, or are they only talking to me to like?
People forget that interaction is a two-way street. I can give
Oh,
my
for
50%,
sure.
but you also have to give me 50%. If I'm giving you my attention, I need to get that attention back, because that relationship will not work. Yeah. And I found that most people here just do not even want to give 15. They either want to be the center or they don't want to be anything. You look so adorable. Hold on.
I made a flower drum.
So what I got from you is, if you miss the bus early on, it's kind of hard to do that afterwards.
Jump back on,
Do you feel like it's impossible, or it just takes more work?
It's definitely not impossible, but at the same time, there's social pressure to when you join a new place and you're trying to figure out how their social circles work, what cliques lie here. Especially since I went from a very much like 800 student school, big high school, to somewhere that has definitely a way smaller than 800 student, despite the fact that it's also a middle school and a high school. Completely different. You had all kinds of people, bigger places, that big place, all different kinds of things, all different kinds of stuff that you just don't find here. And while that is very different, I think it is also helpful, because then you're expanding your horizons and you're learning new things and you're getting new interactions and you're gaining more life experience. If you attempt even a slight amount to be an optimist and you attempt to make a life experience an optimistic opportunity, like, yeah, that sucked, but a couple months down the line you have that hindsight of, yeah, that sucked, but this is what it gave me today, and this is the experience that it told me that I needed to work through. And every experience that you have, whether it be by yourself or with other people, is just paving your way onto the path of who you're supposed to be. High school is very trivial, and you know, right now it might seem like the entire world, but we're teenagers, you know? This is our entire world. We come here for 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. Of course this is what we're gonna be caring about. Of course we're gonna react like children. Of course we're gonna be driven by emotion. Our brains aren't fully formed yet.
I think what I got from you is, if you branch out a bit, it has to be the right person.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. You have to find someone that'll reciprocate who you are.
I think, especially now, but this whole year, I've been trying to and also I felt more comfortable kind of branching out and talking to different people, because I don't know, we're seniors now and we're leaving, and so now's kind of our last chance to get to know people that we didn't know super well. And I mean, we've all gone to school together for so long, and so I mean, you kind of know these people, but so it's been fun to just kind of not care about cliques so much and not be so self-conscious about talking to people you don't really know. But I think I have definitely tried and found it easier to talk to new people and branch out this year, and it's been really fun.
I was surprised to see that almost everyone seems to have a desire to meet new people. But even so, how can we make this happen on a larger scale? Emiliana, you work, right?
I do work. I work at Katrina's.
As part of the working world, do you notice cliques where you work?
No. And pretty much all of the places I've worked, there hasn't really been any really noticeable cliques or atmosphere of exclusion. But yeah, some people definitely get along better as well. So.
Okay. Do you feel like we benefit from a similar system here at school?
I guess, I don't know, people aren't really working towards the same thing, so it'd be hard to have that same sort of camaraderie.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I think I don't know, we just don't all see things the same way, and that's why we are drawn to the people that we do see things the same. That's that's why we form cliques.
And do you feel like you are drawn to people that are that have a similar mindset that you do?
Yeah, I think so. I think we all are.
As it would turn out, there may yet be answers to be found from my own life experience, as I'd find out when my partner Emiliano turned the tables and interviewed me. So when I started working at Target, towards halfway through my junior year, every single day I was there, I thrived kind of in an area where there is without cliques. People are drawn together because, well, you know, they have to work together. The nature of the service industry brings people together despite their differences. And some of my very best friends, while I was working, were nothing like me. And that perhaps was the most beautiful part of it right there. So naturally, our journey led us at last off of school grounds to the world's very first Target. The same Target in which I had discovered 1.5 years worth of memories and a special type of joy. And sure enough, just as we had left school grounds, the entire concept of cliques seemed to be left behind as well.
Here at Target, do you feel like there are cliques at all, or do you feel like we're brought together in other ways?
I don't really believe in the aspect of clicking with someone. Bonds are built over time, not just right away. And it's not like, okay, we're friends now. Like, we're best friends forever and ever. Like, no, like.
Yeah, it can't be predetermined.
Yeah, exactly. I've been here for 3 years. I've never really felt like I clicked with anyone at all. Any relationships I've built here have been over time. You know, there's still many people here I haven't met at all, and like I've worked with them for the longest time, and and the people that I do have friendships with here, it's not. It took time to talk to them, because you know, when you're warming up to someone, you have to get used to how they speak, like the way they communicate. It's not all easy. Like you won't automatically get used to that person. Oh yeah, for sure. A good example of that is look at the age range you're working with. You know, you're working with a lot of older people or a lot of mostly younger people. You know, like I'm 21 and I have friends that are like, what, 17, 18, still go to high school. I just kind of mentor them more than anything. And I also have friends like Robert, who's like, what, 50 years old, you know? Like, you can't click with anyone, because it's something that you build over time, of course.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Of course.
Anything else you wanted to add at all?
Yeah, me and Nicholas clicked.
Yeah, there you go.
In addition to my more direct coworkers, I also interviewed ETL Renee, the executive team leader for human resources at Roseville Super Target. While she wasn't comfortable being recorded, I did at least take notes. And which I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit bummed about that, because then there's no real proof that I'm not just pulling all of this out of my mind. But I suppose there is a little bit of proof. I just realized on the bottom of this note sheet, there's a Target logo. So hopefully that counts as proof. She immediately pointed me towards Target's culture and corporate values, and I am at least able to show these pictures from her office. While it is of course required by law for these values to be present in all employers to a certain extent, I would agree that Target, at least from the bias of my own experience, does do a very nice job of creating a positive culture that reminds us that we all matter. Here's a few of the questions that I asked her. The funny thing about searching for answers is that sometimes answers just so happen to find you, in the most interesting of ways sometimes. In my case, a film crew from the Italian island of Sardinia, who have visited over 100 countries, and their next stop just so happened to be my house. Context is for suckers. Okay, but here it is. Anyways, once they were finished with their interview, I thought, why don't I interview them about Cliques? And what they had to say might just surprise you. And they kind of reminded me, to be honest, why global perspectives are so valuable, especially to the well-rounded mind. You pointed out that the table is a big part of socialization in Italy, for example. In high schools in the United States, we're given about 25 minutes to eat lunch. And the lunch usually isn't very good provided by the school. The lunch table is very much a part of socializing in school also. But then you have, the football table, you have the music table, you have the theater table.
Yes.
You don't really see people mix it up at all.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Okay, imagine me and her 25 years ago. Okay, I like her, she likes me, for example, and we meet during the lunchtime. This 25 minutes, we have 25 minutes every day, just 25. Probably we who try our best to short these 25 minutes, to take every second of these 25 minutes, because we have only 25. So you talk. Probably if you have only 25 minutes, you prefer spending these 25 minutes talking about something that you are interested to. Okay, so you like football, I don't like, I have just 25 minutes, let's talk about music. Okay, oh, this is the right group of music. Okay, we have 25 minutes, so let's talk about music. So this divided people. Okay, we have a lot of time in Italy. In a school, you have 1 hour and a half to eat. It's totally different. Okay, 1 hour and a half, I can talk with you about our interesting. Yes, interesting. But after 10 minutes, this girl, I don't like. I was wrong. I don't like. Okay, I go back and I talk with another one. I go back and I talk about my favorite team, Rome. Rome was Rome beat Lazio 3-0. Oh, wow, fantastic! What kind of music I listen to? You have the earphones. I'm listening to heavy metal. Wow, I love heavy metal. In the same table. Okay, so this is different. We are different. Okay, you are American. We are Italian. We are different. There are things that you do that we like so much, but this thing about the cliques, we know these things because we saw there are cliques, too many cliques in USA, and for us it's a pity for you. We are worried about you. If you want to be a traveler, when you will be a traveler, you will hate cliques, because if you are a traveler, you are not part of no clique. So we are sorry for this kind of cliques. We don't like it. We don't like it. It's a thing, maybe American thing, that we don't like it. We see in the movies too.
Yes.
Right.
We see in the movies too, and we don't like it. Yes.
At this point, it's evident that cliques are not only strangely limited to schools, but to American schools. The huge social pattern perpetuated by Disney Channel original movies seems to be a lot more localized on a grand scale than I could have imagined. But how do we use the lessons from the rest of the world to transcend cliques in the one place they actually exist? The answer may be simpler than I thought.
Yeah, I think for academics, it's definitely best to save that socialization to after school, because during class you don't want to be learning someone's whole life story. You will get a lot more of that time during extracurriculars, and I think that helps a lot because you're also working together instead of just being close proximity in classroom. But I will also say it's very, I don't know, like bonding to like talk about teachers together or specific classes, classwork. So it depends, but usually it's best to get to know someone in an extracurricular activity.
Do you feel like it's hard to talk to or get to know people that are different from yourself during the school hours? Do you feel like it'd be easier to do so during extracurricular hours?
Yeah, I think getting involved in extracurricular activities, hopefully there's quite a few here to choose from, because that's really where you make those connections.
Honestly, don't be afraid of like coming up to people, because both it is a pretty small school, so like you'll get chances to see people. So if you start out like just introduce yourself, then they can like come up to you later. You're just gonna be around anyway, so it's not like there's a risk. So most people like will like be your friend or acquaintance. So like don't be afraid. I like to just like compliment people, like something about their outfit, something that I genuinely like, because of course you want to be someone's friend. So yeah, just like sort of just opening up a conversation, because you're gonna see them again. So you want to like start that.
Well, there it is, I suppose. Perhaps extracurricular activities are the best way to take the best of many worlds and bring it into the school environment. To take the natural inclusivity of the working world and combine it with the extra time to socialize our European counterparts overseas get. Okay, so at journey's end, I think I've come to this conclusion. Perhaps the very existence of one's comfort zone is to empower them to venture beyond it. So for example, despite my progress in this area this year, I can still only bring myself to talk to people outside of my friend group when I'm strong. But maybe one needs their friends to make them strong. Maybe cliques are there to encourage you to transcend them. Maybe you need those laughs, lunches, and most importantly, shenanigans with your friends, for example. Maybe you need a moment like this.
Charles, look at how goated this is.
I should honestly take those out of the game. Kale, what are you doing?
In order to get to a moment like this.
Yo, it's your boss.